very much. Sorry to get between you and the party. We'll get that started very shortly. But thanks, Gerald, and thanks for inviting me here tonight. So, yeah, great to be here this evening. And by happy coincidence, I'm here to you talking about IBP awards and what we've been doing on the day that Sophie Barnes, one of our reporters, it's her last day in the office. She won one of the IBPs back in December. And was immediately poached by the Telegraph, and she's off to join their investigations team. So, yeah, for the award winners tonight, opportunity knocks. This is, and for everybody who's employing the award winners tonight, immediate pay rises, I think, are in order. That's the way to go. So, okay. Get talking to your bosses tomorrow morning. On the plus side, I mean, I think I've lost track of the number of people over the years who've come through our doors when we've been interviewing for reporters' jobs. I might exploding from the speakers. I'm getting a bit of feedback. Reporters who've come through our doors and said, "Actually, we're applying for a job with you because of your track record. We've noticed you winning all these awards, and actually, for us, it makes us, attractive to some of the best talent out there." And we've got a really good track record of bringing through great and talented reporters. So yeah, absolutely. In terms of the IBPs, they've been incredibly useful to us over the years, just in terms of what they've enabled us to do, and also staff retention as well. So we've held on to people for longer because of the way we've been able to say, this is what we can do for your careers, and this is the types of things we can offer you in terms of the investigative work you're going to be doing, and how we're going to bring you through, and the opportunities that you're going to get as a result of that. So actually, yes, you might lose a few people along the way, but in actual fact, really, really positive stories in terms of who you get in as a result of it. Anyway, my brief tonight was to talk about some of our work over the last year that led us to picking up several of our own IBP awards and some of the other things that Gerald mentioned a few minutes ago. So thanks very much for the setup there, much appreciated. And talking through really the last year and a half for us, and a lot of that has to do with how we approached our coverage of the Grenfell Tower tragedy. So that, a lot of the investigative work that we've been doing related to that. And I'm going to start more than a year ago, actually, back in April 2017. And there was one front page in particular, one piece of work that attracted a lot of attention in the aftermath of Grenfell. And that was a front page headlined, revealed fire spread linked to panels, and warned social landlords about the use of insulation panels on the outside of buildings and how fire could spread as a result of that. But it wasn't, that's a headline that you may well have seen quite a lot after Grenfell, but that was 2 months before Grenfell, and we published that in April 2017. So we were talking about that to our audience, and some of the investigative work we've been doing over a number of years before Grenfell built up to that story. And that was a story that, in the words of a Guardian article from June last year, so shortly after Grenfell, said it had thrown inside housing into the national spotlight after it proved dreadfully prescient. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about how we'd investigate, how that work had come about, what we've been doing, building up to that. And again, that kind of led through to a lot of the stuff we've been doing this year as well. So the story was based on an investigation that was months in the making, and involved using a Freedom of Information Act to obtain information about fire safety problems that those directly involved had chosen not to make public. So most importantly, I think for us, that work was crucial in the hours and days after the fire in helping the national media then understand that there had been previous warnings about fire spread in tower blocks, and that Grenfell had not just been entirely preventable, but also predictable. So again, the work we'd done all the way through there, built that kind of picture, and we could, actually move with that very, very quickly after Grenfell. So why had we been devoting time to investigating that story? What had kind of led us to do that? And the answer to that question lies back in 2009, and another tower block fire, one called in Lakanal House in Southwark, in which 6 people died. Although we'd actually been reporting on, structural and fire safety in blocks for a number of years before that as well. Following Lakanal House tragedy, we launched a campaign, Safe as Houses. That called for changes to improve fire safety in tower blocks, called for a national database to be created, which will record information as to whether or not blocks had up-to-date risk assessments. We got within a stone's throw of achieving all of this. So again, campaigning journalism, not just this last year, but actually a track record stretching back over a number of years. The regulator of social housing agreed to do it, and the government changed, and the plan was abandoned. And again, actually, I mean, we won some awards for that work at the time, and because got very, very close to actually enacting change at that point. But of course, we all know now that the lessons from that, from the Lacanal, were basically ignored. And I think this is it. When you were talking about, I guess that some of the work that led to us getting quite a lot of attention last year, and picking up some of the IBP awards, that was basically the result of years and years worth of work actually leading up to that. So, after Lacanal and after that campaign there, we kept plugging away, and on top of that campaign, we covered several other fires in circumstances where fire had spread unpredictably through buildings over the course of a number of years, and that our background knowledge meant that when a fire spread up the side of a building in Shepherd's Bush in 2016, we knew it was significant. We knew that was a really significant moment. No one died or was injured in that fire in Shepherd's Court, and it didn't really get very much press attention outside of inside housing. London Fire Brigade and the local council seemed more interested in speaking about the causes of the fire, which was a faulty tumble dryer, than the fact it had spread in a worrying way. Internally, though, again, we thought this fire was extremely important. Speaking personally, because I'd led the previous fire safety campaign and quite a lot of the work over the years, I was really frustrated at the way immediate promises of change had fallen by the wayside. And for our readers, it was important to keep emphasising that this was far from a one-off, and in fact should be right at the top of the list of things they should be worrying about. So over a number of years, we were investigating. And again, while there was limited interest elsewhere, we splashed with those fire safety findings and followed that up with a more in-depth investigation. And of course, that was only a couple of months before Grenfell. But what it did mean was that we were able to respond immediately and pass on our own learning, informing the national debate, as I was saying, in the days and weeks after the tragedy. And the other thing, we were doing was we were sending people through information that, in actual fact, that made the front pages of several papers, and it was with mixed emotions. You were sending people investigations that were ending up on front pages that we'd actually sent through months before, but again, we're ending up as splashes, but actually it should have been splashes 2 or 3 months previously, I think. With that background, we launched, within a week of Grenfell, we launched our Never Again campaign, and that detailed demands of government and our readers. So we listed a number of demands for government and our readers, and we led rather than followed the debate. So key sector bodies, including the Chartered Institute of Housing, backed the campaign immediately and asked to work with Inside Housing on a key submission to the public inquiry. For the next 12 months, Inside Housing ploughed resources into covering the story. We rejigged all of our patches. So again, I think when you're thinking about the types of work that will have impact and how you approach things, which is one of the things I was asked to talk about. Focus on what's important for you and your businesses. That's exactly, and for your readership. In our case, so we rejigged all of our patches. So reporters were focused on investigating particular aspects of fire safety in tower blocks. Everybody was focused on it. Everybody had their own patches, and that decision, combined with the reporters we actually had, really talented bunch of people. And again, that's where your staff retention comes in. Led to a series of outstanding pieces of in-depth research and scoops that ended up all over the national press. So really, I guess, when I'm talking about what we've been doing over the last year, I'm really proud of the work we've done and what we've achieved and what we've managed to contribute to the debate. To be absolutely honest, I'd rather not be doing it, but I do at least feel we've made a contribution that's been important and that has been useful, and that's been based on years of work. So I think one of the other things I was asked to talk a bit about tonight was whether there was any magic award-winning formula that we could share. And the starting point, I think, obviously comes down to building up the talent within your own workforce and working with them, and making sure that you do attract and retain talent, so you've just got that kind of coming through and circulating. And yeah, the other takeaway I've got, I guess, is once you've identified what's important, act quickly on it. So, and I think one of the frustrations we had after Lacanal was that part of the problem was the passage of time. People waited for the inquest and the investigations. There was loads of learning out there, but people waited for all of that, and you know, a lot of the impetus kind of gradually was lost. The political will to change disappeared over a number of years as those investigations were carried out. So I think for me, part of our job with Grenfell and what I'd learned from previous experience was, you know, really act now. There's learning out there already, so that's one of the things we've been saying to our readers. Yes, there's inquiries. Yes, there's additional learning that will emerge, but in actual fact, act very, very quickly. And I guess my other takeaway was there was plenty of years when we were writing about all of this stuff. And lots of other things as well, where you're not winning awards for it. You know, that's not happening, and it wasn't necessarily in the spotlight beyond our pages. But you know, when you're building up that expertise, when you've identified what's important for the people who are your readers, or you know that you're working for and with, you know, that expertise actually, that's really what's enabled us to contribute now. So. Yeah, maybe the message going out to the people who don't win tonight is actually you're probably doing the award-winning stuff now, and it's a little bit down the line that perhaps you know that will be picked up and people will kind of realise the importance of what's being done. So I think kind of across the board, I think everybody tonight who's here and nominated and wins is obviously been doing incredible stuff. So I think right across the board, you know, a massive pat on the back. And I'm really looking forward personally to finding out a little bit more about what people have been up to, why they're nominated tonight, and you know, speaking to various winners and shortlisted nominees, just to find out a little bit more about what you've been up to, and what we might be able to work with you on moving forward. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's yeah, I think at this stage I'll probably hand back and get back to the party. So sorry for dragging things down a little bit there, but I think, you know, in terms of what we've been doing, I hope that's given you a little bit of a flavour about how we've worked through things, what the type of approach we've taken over a number of years that led to us picking up a number of awards last year, but more importantly, contributing to a lot of national debates, which were actually quite important, and hopefully we'll continue to do so. So thank you very much for listening, and congratulations to everybody. Good luck with the awards tonight, and I'll now hand back and we'll get on with the ceremony. Thank you very much. Cheers.